predicting the future as far as ship releases go is always something of a tricky business, because it's really difficult to kind of anticipate everything that CIG may want to put in the game. And sometimes they do come out of left field with certain concepts. I think that for CitizenCon, are we going to get a new ship? Yes, obviously. Probably more than one. I have a feeling that we're going to get one that is flight ready and one that is off on the horizon, following, the Polaris, the Hammerhead, so on and so forth. The Hammerhead, of course, we have. Polaris, still waiting to see. CIG, still waiting to see that one materialize. But I think that that's how it's going to go. We're going to get something flight ready, and we're also going to get a ship that is going to be more off on the horizon. Now, I think that there's a couple of candidates that we can possibly eliminate real quick. There is an area where Star Citizen is, I would say, thin in terms of its ship lineup, and that would be heavy fighters. Right now, there is the Vanguard Warden. Now, of course, you have to remember that the other models of the Vanguard are dedicated to other things, and they are all derivative of the Vanguard, so in a way, that's really kind of only one heavy fighter, and you have to figure that in the world of Star Citizen, other manufacturers would be getting in on the game, that this wouldn't just be a one-off, especially when you think about the future of Star Citizen. The distance you have to travel, the things you have to do, the things you have to carry along with you. Heavy fighters have certainly become a lot more attractive for a lot of people since the beginning. But there really is only one game in town. Well, one and a half. The half is, of course, this ship, the F-8 Lightning, which is Anvil's heavy fighter. Now, you may notice if you look at the CitizenCon schedule, there are two things. There's the Crawshaw, display hall stage, whatever, and then there's the Anvil stage. So it kind of points to Anvil doing something special for CitizenCon, which, I kind of wish it was Drake, but you might think that the F-8 Lightning kind of a candidate. But you have to remember that the F-8 Lightning is already out of the running unless CIG kind of totally 180s on the F-8 Lightning, because Chris Roberts himself said that this is going to be something that you can purchase, but only after you unlock it from a mission in Squadron 42. The F-8 Lightning technically is game ready now. We already saw it in game, last year. It's in the files. It's there. But there may be some parts of it that are incomplete. We know that it's there. We know that it is something that is coming, but entirely flight ready? Maybe, maybe not. Hopefully. But I still think that CIG is going to kind of hold on to this one and keep to the whole Squadron 42 thing, even though, obviously, if it's done, it's flight ready. It'd probably make a fairly easy way for CIG to earn some cash on some work that they've already done, and obviously there are going to be sales of something like this. A lot of people, myself included, there are certain things about the Vanguard we don't like, and possibly this fighter could correct some of those issues. Trade, some of the features of the Vanguard for something a little bit more combat-oriented to a certain degree, or a little bit more dogfight-oriented, somewhat, a little bit, maybe. So, while I think that it's unlikely, it's still technically possible. Another possibility, though remote, is the Redeemer. Now, of course, you may already own the Redeemer. You may have at one point owned the Redeemer. There are people who don't like it. There are people who do like it. And much like being a vegan, if you ask them, they'll probably tell you, till the end of time, why they don't like or do like the Redeemer. It's one of those. But it is possible that CIG finally kind of got off their butts with this ship and did the redesign that they were going to do. I mean, you have to know that even though the ship did win the Next Great Starship competition and it was quote unquote built with, the wrong metrics, so, we're going to have to redo some things and change some things around. We know that a redesign is coming to this ship whenever this ship does come. Maybe, this ship has gotten that redesign and this is what is going to be revealed to us. Could be interesting. What shape could it take? What changes could they make to it? We know that CIG wasn't, we know that Chris Roberts wasn't all that happy with the design. Remember, at one point, this design was voted out of the competition by CIG, but then the players voted it back in and it went on to win. So you knew that this ship was going to have some trouble with that, because obviously there were some people at CIG who didn't quite like the design and wanted it to change. So it's possible. Even though it's technically a gunship, you could kind of slot it in as a bit of a heavy fighter, so it could slide into that slot as well. The downside to it, or the one thing that's kind of weighing it down, is it is yet another Aegis ship, of which we have an incredible amount of. So I have to kind of say that the Redeemer is a very dim possibility. Now you might say at this point, Minion, you're an idiot, because this is the time of year when the big ships come out. This is when we got the Polaris. This is when we got the Hammerhead. This is when we got the Pioneer, the Kraken, all the big ships. This is when the Javelin too. This is when we're going to get the big ship, the big military ship. And ordinarily, I would 100% agree with you. And I would say, obviously, one of the ships that we're going to get is going to be a large military ship. However, earlier this year, we did already kind of get one. The Nautilus, which, is yet another Aegis ship, though it strangely enough looks like an anvil ship. I would say that this kind of killed a little bit of that for me. But at the same time, maybe not. I mean, it's possible that we could see another large ship. Because of the arrival of the Nautilus, I don't think so. I don't really think so. And there really is only one real slot I can see for a large ship. I mean, now that we got the Kraken, kind of got the pocket carrier, there really is only one slot that I see open, one possibility, though it is still somewhat remote. You may remember this ship, the Polaris, right? Now, of course, this was the Corvette. This is what replaced the Idris when the Idris moved up into the frigate slot. And it was very well received. There's a lot of strong features about it. However, myself and some others have noted that torpedoes as its main weaponry, as its heavy weaponry, though obviously, capital class torpedoes, probably very dangerous, especially to other capital ships. It may not have been exactly what tickled everyone's everyone's kind of space fantasy. I think that there is a possibility that CIG may look at something like the Polaris and say, well, what if we did one that was gun-based, and not gun-based in the way that the Hammerhead is, but gun-based more around larger, heavier guns. Something that probably has the same speed, same maneuverability, but is more based around guns rather than, torpedoes as its main armament. That could be a possibility, though maybe not the most likely. But what do you think would be the most likely? If you, Minion Soldier, if you were in charge of CIG's marketing and you were looking at them and you're saying, you want to make X amount of money, this Citizen Con, you want something with broad appeal, you want something that's probably going to be affordable to a lot of players, something that's going to do very well, and something that is going to be not so much of, let's wait and find out what the features are, something that perhaps you can, implement very quickly, something that would see very obvious use even in the current game, something that would have a huge amount of appeal to users. And I think that that is not a ship. I think that if you want to put something out there that is as much of a shut up and take my money situation as you can possibly imagine, there's really only one thing that you're working on that really fits that slot. Titan armor. Titan armor, Titan armor, Titan armor. There probably is very, 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 very few people who would not love to have this in Star Citizen right now. When you're going into a bunker, when you're going into a situation where FPS is possible, especially without medical gameplay, where, you know, a teammate can rescue you after you've been gunned down or anything like that. If you're looking for something more resilient or something that, at least in a versus NPC situation, is going to give you a serious leg up over the competition, Titan armor seems to be a given. And I can't really imagine that there are too many players out there in the universe who wouldn't snap this up right away. And that also is probably one of the reasons that they may want to hold back on it, because they probably, as much as they may want to financially, they may not want to, for gameplay reasons, put something into the game that everyone feels is just a must-have, is a quote-unquote pay-to-win type situation. Though I have a feeling that we're going to see this pop up. The only thing in the game right now that pushes back on my idea that we're going to see Titan armor sooner rather than later is a question. And it's a question that the Star Citizen community often asks, with ships and ship hangars, Polaris hangar being a very obvious example right now, is, will it fit? And my question is, will the Titan armor fit through the existing airlocks in the game? Because it would be kind of bad to have another situation where you put out another, you know, game-ready military vehicle that won't fit in anything, so you can't actually do anything with it at this time. Can't really think of any other examples where that's happened recently. Now, of course, there are also numerous ships that could potentially fit it. Caterpillar being an example, Hammerhead, Cutlass a little bit, Freelancer, probably, definitely. But, you know, that would have to involve being able to spawn these things inside of a ship, which is a thing that I don't think that we're going to get anytime soon. So, as much as I would like to see it, the metrics of the universe may not really allow for it at this time. My feeling is, in the end, given all these possibilities, this is where my brain goes on all these different topics, but of all these possibilities, what sticks out to me the most, I have to say that I feel that we are going to get an Anvil capital ship, and it is going to be something like the Polaris in terms of size, though it's probably not going to be as fast. It's probably going to be more of a large caliber gun-based brawler, something along those lines. That's kind of where I feel that this is going, because that, I feel, is an area where the game is a little bit weak in terms of capital ships. Of course, you have the Javelin, which, you know, certainly to a certain degree can fulfill that role, but I think that that is what we're going to see, is we're going to see a gun-based Anvil capital ship. Something around the size of a Polaris that's made to be a little bit tankier than a Polaris would be, and something that's meant to brawl with other ships. That is what I feel we're going to see for large ships. For small ships, we may not see a small ship. We may see Titan armor. That is where my head goes as far as the ships that we are going to see at CitizenCon. That is, you know, my speculation. That is, there's nothing hidden underneath that. That is pure guesswork. That's what I see as, from my point of view, the strongest possibilities. I guess we'll have to wait and see. Anyways, that's the show for today. I hope you guys enjoyed it, and thanks for watching.
Thank you for watching. So if you want to keep up with the latest and greatest in Star Citizen and Squadron 42's development, please follow us on our social media channels. See you soon.